Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Shenanigans Show. So I am doing this tag on a Friday just because I wanted to flesh out some more content for December and have some other content, and I did want to do this book tag in December as well. I do have the Grinch book tag on the 31st, and that will be the Book Tag Tuesdays video, the official Book Tag Tuesdays video. With this one, as I said, I did just kind of want another video for December, specifically at the end of the year, and that was specifically catered towards the end of the year kind of umbrella. And as you can tell, this is the end of the year book tag for 2024. I did kind of tweak some of the prompts and add in some new prompts to specifically have it be good to answer during December or maybe even early January. Again, I'm not doing like any of the books sitting because a lot of them I don't have readily accessible, and the ones I do have, I'm just like, I would rather have them all easily accessible, or a majority of them easily accessible, or just not have any of them back there. So at this point, we're just gonna have the screenshots of the titles. In this video, unlike with other book tag videos, I'm not really trying to have different answers for each prompt. I usually try to do that, but with this video, I do have some prompts where the answers overlap. But with all that said, let's get into this video. The first prompt is books that you started this year that you need to finish. And for me, the main one is Shadow of the Gods. And it's not that I've set this one down. I have been reading it, and I have my December Christmas reading vlog that's coming out Christmas Day. And I'm reading it during that. But I really want to be able to finish it soon because it is a bigger book. At this point, I'm not putting any pressure on myself to finish it within 2024 or within December. It would be nice to, but there's no pressure. Another one I need to finish that has been actually put on pause is The Barn by Wright Thompson. And the reason why this one is on pause, I talked about it, or I will be talking about it in my Christmas reading vlog. I had borrowed it from Libby and the loan had expired, but I hadn't finished it yet, so I still have it on hold. But I probably won't be getting the book back to borrow from Libby until like January, sometime in January. So hopefully early January I can finish it, but we'll see. The next prompt is a book to transition into the next year. For me, that would be The Mayor of Maxwell Street. I don't really have a good reason for saying this one, aside from the fact that it has been on my radar for a while and I have been wanting to read it. That's like the main reason. The next prompt is a new release you're still waiting for. For me, that is The Mademoiselle Alliance by Natasha Lester. Cover here again. This is a 2025 release. It is my most anticipated release for 2025. This will be on my radar and I'm still waiting for it, and I'm so excited for it because I love all of Natasha Lester's works. The next prompt is best book or books of 2024. For me, the main one I can think of is The Perks of Being an S-Class Heroine. I got this at Anime Expo. I read it during my... No, I didn't get it at Anime Expo. Yes, I did. I read it during my post-Anime Expo reading vlog, and I absolutely loved this. I fell in love with it. I read volume 2. I absolutely loved it. I need to get like the rest of the series at some point and continue with it, and maybe read it on like the webtoon platform it's on. I don't think it's on webtoon itself, but it's on another like comic webtoon site. It's just recently like reading ebooks or reading stuff on my phone has not been, or reading stories on my phone has not been hitting very well for me. Yeah, The Perks of Being an S-Class Heroine was definitely one of the best books for me this year. The next prompt is biggest disappointment or disappointments of 2024. For me, that's The Lost Apothecary, and I had read The London Seance Society by the same author, Sarah Penner, and loved The London Seance Society, and I wanted to give The Lost Apothecary a shot, but it didn't hit the same way for me, and maybe it was just because it was the first book versus the second book that she wrote. It's not part of a series, but you know, sometimes the first book is not as good as like later books. I don't know if it was that or if there was like another reason, but The Lost Apothecary was not really hitting very well for me. The next prompt is biggest surprise or surprises of 2024. For me, that is Delicious in Dungeon, and I had watched the anime before Anime Expo. I loved the anime, and then I started dipping into the manga. Again, loved the manga, and I was just surprised by how much detail there was in the manga, because usually it's like, not that manga doesn't have a lot of detail, because it does, especially considering it's in that comic style, in that drawing style. That's what makes it a manga. I was just surprised by how much detail they were including in the manga, and it was pretty much on par with the anime, and there is a second season of the anime coming out, which I'm really excited for. I just need to read more of the manga. The next prompt is new favorite author or authors. The first one I'm going to mention two here. The first one is The Perks of Being an S-Class Heroine, the story creator, the artist, just everyone who participated and created the story. Absolutely love. And then the second one I want to mention is Villains Are Destined to Die. And again, like everyone who's involved in creating the story, I absolutely love this. Again, I read it during my Anime Expo reading vlog, and I have not continued with the series quite yet, but I know I need to, and I'm really excited to read it. The next prompt is new favorite crush or crushes. The first one that came to mind for me was Villains Are Destined to Die, the main character, our main female like protagonist, antagonist, anti-hero, the one who's on the cover here. I loved it. She's definitely a crush. There were some others, but she was like the main one I could think of. And again, like I said a little earlier, I do usually try not to have overlapping answers, but at the same time, this is the end of the year and I'm really trying to focus on my favorites here, and sometimes the favorites are going to overlap in different prompts. The next prompt is newest favorite character or characters. I'm going to have to go with The Perks of Being an S-Class Heroine again, because I love all of the characters in this series. Our main character, Aliette, and then her brother, just like everyone, like this had me kind of squealing a little bit as I read it, just like out of how cute it was. The next prompt is book or books that made you sad and or cry. This one, I have to give it to Magic Knight Rare, the manga, and it's the 75th anniversary edition that is showing up here on the screen, or at least the box for it. And it wasn't necessarily that I was crying like sad tears or crying because I was sad, but I was tearing up a little bit because it had been a while since I returned to the series, and this was a really large formative part of my early teen years and a formative part of why I got into manga and anime. One, the fact that I have like the special editions, and two, like the little special art book, and three, just being able to revisit that world in the manga form again. Perfect. The next prompt is books that made you happy and or laugh. For this, I'm giving it to Delicious and Dungeon, because there were definitely parts I was laughing at, even if it was just a soft chuckle. I was definitely laughing at parts. It was definitely making me really happy. The next prompt is any book or books you DNF'd. I DNF'd 9 this year. I was hoping to DNF more, but I just, for a lot of them, I really didn't force myself to DNF, but I did DNF 9. Maybe next year will be 10. And the main one that comes to mind for me is The Poppy War. It was just like, I really wanted to give Rebecca Quang, another shot after Babel, just because I can understand why people like her writing, why people like her books, but there was just something about them for me where I was like, this is not hitting in the way I want them. It's not working for me. Like, some of these things are things that I would like, but at the same time, it's just like, for whatever reason, the way she presented it in the book, whether it was the actual storyline, the way she wrote it, the characters, it just wasn't working for me. The next prompt is a new release you haven't read yet but want to. For me, that is The 13th Child, and this one just comes to mind immediately because I got it in my December Book of the Month box, and it is a new release, and I've had my eye on it for a little while, but now that I have like the physical copy, hopefully we'll get to it early in 2024, because this does feel like a very wintry read. The next prompt is a book you want to read before the end of the year. For this one, I'm choosing one of the books on my currently reading pile, and that is The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne, and I did mention this one in the earlier prompt, but again, I really want to read this book before the end of the year. Like, I really want to have it finished before the end of the year. I'm not putting too much pressure on myself to read it by the end of the year, but it would be nice. The next prompt is a book that could still shock you and become your favorite book of the year. For me, that is The Love Elixir of Augusta Stern. This is another one of the books on my currently reading pile, and so far it is kind of a slow burn. There is going to be some romance in it, and I feel like there's going to be some unrequited stuff here. Maybe rivals to lovers somehow, or like the thought of like, oh, we're rivals when they're actually not rivals. So there's going to be some romance, which isn't my biggest thing, but at the same time, this book is The Love Elixir of Augusta Stern, so obviously some romance as the title and the way the characters are acting. But I am looking forward to reading this, and hopefully I do like this, even with the romance additional plot. I don't want to say subplot because it is one of the main things, as well as being historical fiction, it is historical romance. We'll just see how it all goes. The next prompt is, did you accomplish your yearly reading goal? For me, 2024 right now. If you have not accomplished it by the time you get to this book tag, that's okay. It's okay if you don't accomplish your yearly reading goal. For me, I have not finished it at the time of recording this video. I have read 96 out of 100 books, and I have 4 books on my currently reading pile, one of which I probably won't get to until January again, The Barn, and then the other 3, we'll see if I finish this year. The next prompt is, did you have any other reading goals for the year? And did you accomplish them? Again, it's okay if you did not. For me, one of them was to DNF more, and I sort of did that. I don't think I DNF'd more than I did like last year or previous years, maybe about the same. I think I mentioned this earlier, but I did DNF 9 books this year, and I think that's kind of on track with what I've DNF'd or how many I've DNF'd in the past. And then my other reading goal for 2024 was to try to utilize Libby more, which again I did. I don't know if I definitely didn't decrease my usage, but I think it just stayed about the same. And then I had one more, which was to utilize physical libraries more, which I did not do. The next prompt is your 2025 reading goal, if you know it. For me, it's going to be 100 books again, just because that seems to be a good consistent number that I can reach reasonably with everything that's going on in my life. Or at the very least, I can get really close to it. But this year I'm at 96 of 100 books. So I can get reasonably close enough to that number. The next prompt is any reading plans, any other reading plans for 2025. For me is to DNF more if I need to. I don't necessarily want to DNF more, but if I need to DNF more books, I'll DNF more books. That is one of my goals. And then the other one is kind of the same. They're kind of the same as my ones for 2024. To utilize Libby more and to go to physical libraries more before I really commit to buying any books. And then the last prompt is most anticipated book for 2025. I mentioned this earlier, but that is the Mademoiselle Alliance by Natasha Lester. And again, I'm super excited for this one. That is the end of this video. I'm tagging anyone and everyone who wants to do this tag to please do it. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.